Hey history buffs, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving headfirst into the murky waters of historical misconceptions. You know those facts you learned in school or from that one uncle who loves conspiracy theories? Yeah, we're putting them to the test. Get ready to have your mind blown as we debunk 5 of the most persistent myths that have clung to history like a stubborn barnacle. From infamous quotes to larger-than-life figures, we'll separate fact from fiction with a healthy dose of humor and some serious historical digging. So, grab a snack, settle in, and prepare to rewrite your understanding of the past. Hashtag myth number 1. Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." Marie Antoinette, the epitome of French royalty, dripping in diamonds and apparently suggesting the starving masses simply eat cake. This infamous quote has been used for centuries to highlight the disconnect between the elite and the poor. But did our favorite misunderstood queen really utter these insensitive words? The answer, dear viewers, is a resounding no. This myth likely originated during a period of immense hunger in France, fueled by rising bread prices and a harsh winter. People were angry, and a scapegoat was needed. Enter Marie Antoinette, a young foreign queen with a penchant for extravagant fashion. However, there's no historical record of her ever saying anything about cake. The closest we get is a pamphlet from 1793, after her execution, that mentions the phrase "Chuelles mangent de la brioche," let them eat brioche. Brioche, while still bread, was a richer variety enjoyed by the wealthy. But even this reference is disputed by historians. So, what can we learn from this myth? It highlights the power of propaganda. During times of social unrest, rumors and misinformation can spread like wildfire. Critical thinking is key. Don't just accept a quote at face value. Dig deeper, investigate the source, and see if it holds historical weight. Hashtag myth number 2. Vikings wore horned helmets. Okay, this one might make you chuckle. Those fierce Norse seafarers, the Vikings, with their horned helmets, pillaging and plundering across Europe. It's a classic image, but entirely inaccurate. There's zero archaeological evidence for Vikings ever wearing horned helmets. The depictions we see today likely originated centuries later, in artistic interpretations and theatrical productions. Historians believe Vikings wore leather or metal helmets, often simple and practical for battle. Now, some argue depictions might be symbolic, representing the horns of an animal associated with strength. But even that's debatable. So, next time you see a horned Viking in a movie, remember, it's more Hollywood than history. Hashtag myth number 3. Napoleon Bonaparte was super short. Napoleon Bonaparte, the French emperor, is often portrayed as a short, power-hungry man with a complex. But was he really that vertically challenged? Actually, for his time period, Napoleon was considered average height. The average French male in the early 1800s stood around 5 feet 2 inches. Napoleon himself was estimated to be about 5 feet 7 inches. So, where did the short Napoleon myth come from? British propaganda might be to blame. The British, Napoleon's enemies, used cartoons and other media to portray him as short and insignificant. It seems even back then, short jokes were a thing. It's also worth noting that Napoleon surrounded himself with tall guards, making him appear even shorter in comparison. But regardless of his height, Napoleon's impact on history was anything but small. Hashtag myth number 4. The Middle Ages were a dark age. The Middle Ages often get a bad rap. We picture a time of ignorance, superstition, and constant warfare, a dark age between the brilliance of Rome and the Renaissance. But is this portrayal fair? The Middle Ages were a complex and dynamic period. Sure, there were challenges, political instability, the Black Death, but also incredible advancements. This era saw the preservation of classical knowledge through monasteries, the rise of universities, and groundbreaking inventions like the printing press. Medieval art and architecture flourished, with iconic cathedrals like Notre Dame still standing today. So, while the Middle Ages weren't all sunshine and rainbows, to call it a dark age ignores the many positive developments of the time. This period laid the foundation for the Renaissance and shaped the world we live in today. Hashtag myth number 5. Christopher Columbus discovered America. We all know the story, right? Christopher Columbus bravely sails the ocean blue in 1492 and discovers America. But this narrative is deeply flawed and ignores the existence of thriving civilizations in the Americas for centuries before Columbus. Indigenous peoples had been living in the Americas for at least 15,000 years before Columbus's arrival. They had complex societies, rich cultures, and advanced technologies. Columbus's voyage wasn't a discovery. It was an invasion that tragically disrupted these established civilizations. So, it's more accurate to say Columbus encountered America, not discovered it. And this encounter marked the beginning of a long and painful history of colonialism. Phew, that was a whirlwind tour of historical myths. Remember, folks, history is full of surprises. Don't be afraid to question what you think you know and dig deeper to find the real story.